Hello, strategy experts. So you think you're strategy experts, do you? Well, I got my strategy gang, Tim, Laura, Christy, and John here to teach you a few things today. I know what you're thinking. What strategy should I use? How should I use that strategy? Is it a good strategy or a bad strategy? Well, today, my strategy gang is going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of strategy. The only question you really need to ask yourself is, do I feel lucky? Well, do ya?
Hey, you. Yeah. Psst. Yeah, you. Over here. Can you help me get that key? Who am I, you ask? Well, I'm Sally. And I was the president of the largest company in town. Don't you recognize me? Darn near everybody worked for me. And they love me, too. You know, I talked a good game. I said the right words. I made the best programs. And I had a fantastical strategic plan this year. Or so I thought. We were the largest company all around. No one was going to change that. I was pretty sure I had it made. I don't know what happened though. Everybody started buying those horseless carriages, those mechanical contraptions. I think a few are going by right now. I just never saw it coming. Well, shoot, I invested all of our money into a horse feed company. Now it's all worthless. There's another one. Again, didn't see it coming. Well, everybody at the company ran me out, and I've been in hiding. Sheriff Joe picked me up this morning and threw me in the slammer. Can you believe that? And to add insult to injury, he told me that everybody around town is calling me short-sighted Sally now. So you gonna help me or what? Can you help me reach that key? That good strategy key?
Howdy everybody, my name's Susie, and you'll have to forgive me if this is quick. I'm in hiding. Notice this and this. Some people are after me and it's not good, so we're gonna make this real quick. Anyway, I'm here to talk about strategic objectives. A strategic objective is set by a leader as a means to an end. Strategic objectives are bad when they fail to address critical issues or when they're impracticable. I was the leader of a company and came up with 3 strategic objectives that I guess were bad. Don't tell anybody. Anyway, you want to hear what they are? Number 1, I want to see profit rise 80% each year. What? It can happen. Number 2, everyone needs to do their jobs better, so we will get better results. Could happen too. And number 3, we need to increase revenue. It's simple enough. Anyway, needless to say, the company fell apart and went down the hill because of my bad objectives, and now they're after me. Oh jeez, I think I heard them. I gotta go. Bye everybody.
Hello, senor. My name is Jose. I'm a strategy bandit. I'm on the run from Sheriff Joe. I often confuse strategies for goals. It's very fun. Don't st- Don't tell him you've seen me. I'm having too much fun. Adios, muchachos.
Hey there, strategy partners. Richard Rumelt wouldn't have been too happy with my strategy back in 1867 to rob this train. You see, this train was going from California to New York City with a ton of gold. I hired 3 compadres to help me knock it off. Now, these 3 weren't the brightest candles in the cabin. However, I thought we had a pretty good strategy. Must not have, because there's U.S. Marshals on the other side of this train looking to catch us. Looking back, I think my strategy may have had what Rumelt calls too much fluff. It's the 4th hallmark of a bad strategy. I'll let you be the judge. Here's what I told the guys. Quad desperados seize loot from the loco. One of the guys thought I meant somebody was going crazy. He called his brother, who was a doctor, who brought down the U.S. Marshals. Caught us red-handed. I guess the strategy had a little too much fluff. But hey, you live and learn. Hopefully, I live. And I definitely have learned. Hopefully you will too. Gotta go.
Howdy there, strategy partners. It's time for our first knowledge roundup. We just learned about the 4 hallmarks of bad strategy. Can you identify them below? If you pick B, then you are on your way to avoiding these mistakes when beginning your strategic planning. But we aren't at the end of the trail just yet. Deputy Sheriff Laura is going to fill your wagon full of good advice for creating good strategy.
Oh, howdy there. I didn't see you. Come sit down for a spell and take a load off. I'm Deputy Sheriff Laura, and chasing bad strategy bandits can sure tire a person out. I heard that you ran into several of them today. Sally, Susie, and I think Jose. So I bet you're all wondering, why all the bad strategy in the first place? That's a good question. Richard Rumelt, author of Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, suggests a couple answers to that question. First, good strategy requires a lot of focus, and therefore a choice. And you all know, when you choose one path, you have to forego the other path. As a company, a choice means you have to use resources for some areas and take away those resources from others. The idea of this can result in conflict of opinions or direction, and ultimately a company may not choose the most effective choice for a variety of reasons. Politics, leadership, they might just be ill-informed, failure to face key challenges. The second, and this stems from the idea of charismatic leaders, like our Sheriff Joe, but over the years, the idea of the visionary leader or leadership has been reduced to a formula. Develop a vision, inspire people to sacrifice for the good of the company, and then empower people to accomplish that vision. And this formula led to the rise of strategic planning and the template style strategic plan. I bet you know that template. At the top is the vision, right? Then you fill in the mission. Then you fill in some values, and then next you just add some strategies. Interestingly, this type of standard template meant to help leaders create the vision often does the opposite. While they may sound great on paper, filled with fluff and rhetoric, they often fall short of just being effective. By now, I hope you're seeing the differences between good and bad strategies. And knowing this, you have a little hitch in your giddy-up. Rumelt shares with us that a good strategy has at minimum 3 essential components. The first, a diagnosis of the situation. What's the nature of the challenge? A good diagnosis simplifies and prioritizes the critical aspects of a problem. Second, an overall guiding policy. This is an overall approach to help overcome those obstacles identified by the diagnosis. And it's guiding in a sense that it helps to create action without defining exactly what needs to be done. It helps to focus efforts on the end goal. Let me explain. This is like a cowboy herding his cattle toward a ranch. They may go a little bit off the path here and there, but the cowboy helps them keep on the same direction towards the ultimate goal, and that's getting them to the ranch. And finally, coherent actions, or steps that are coordinated with one another. After all, that is what strategy is all about, isn't it, partners? Action. And action should coordinate and build on one another. So there you have it. Remember these 3 key steps in making good strategy: a diagnosis, an overall guiding policy, and coherent actions. And you will avoid the bad strategy and the ugly consequences out there on the business frontier. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. Evening, partners.
Thanks, Deputy Sheriff Laura, and welcome back, strategy partners. It's time for another knowledge roundup. By now, I hope we have blazed the trail for y'all to understanding the differences between bad strategy and good strategy, and given you some good advice on how to create great strategies. What are the 3 steps to remember to help you with crafting good strategies? I bet you picked D because that is the right answer, but y'all knew that. So let's meet up with Ranger Christy and Sheriff Joe back at the ranch to see if they made any progress capturing the bad strategy bandits. They may even have some additional advice to share with you fine folks about making good strategies. Oh, hey everybody! Did anyone happen to see a woman run through here about yay tall? Her name was Susie? I've been looking for her, so let me know if you find her. Anyway, she was my business partner, but she created a bad strategic objectives that made our strategy fail and our company went downhill. So I no longer have a company, so I'm not very happy about that. So I'm looking for her, so just let me know if you find her. Anyway, but I'm here to give you guys some pointers on how to create good strategic objectives. Number 1. Don't just make a long list of things to do and just label them strategies. That's not a good plan. And number 2, don't create a strategy that is so outlandish that the company can't design actions to get to the objective. Not a good idea, guys. And number 3, don't shift strategic objectives in midstream without giving them a chance to develop. You need to give them time to, work things out. You see, a strategic objective is a crucial link between the strategy and the execution. Here are a few examples of good strategic objectives. Number 1, to increase net profit by 10% annually. You see, Susie wanted to increase it by 80%, which is, that's crazy. So 10% is more realistic. Number 2, to improve internal communications. Great one. And number 3, to employ professionals who create success for customers. These are all great examples of strategic objectives, and I sure hope you guys use them better than Susie did at my job. But anyway, thank you everyone. Have a good day. I gotta go find Susie now. Bye.
Looky there. Jose's hat. Too bad his head still isn't in it. Hello there, strategy experts. Sheriff Joe here. I'm looking for Jose. He's a bad strategy bandit. And I don't take too kindly to bad strategy. I don't like the good strategy. And why is that, you ask? Because that's how you're going to be successful. Rommel talks about this in his article. talks about a CEO that has such a broad goal that it's not worthy of the strategy behind it and the effort. It's pretty important, don't you think? I sure do. He also talks about Jack Welch, in which he states that if you don't have a competitive advantage, then you shouldn't compete. Pretty smart man. Take the traditional car dealer. They're all about sales. That's a pretty broad goal, don't you think? It's actually a strategy. The customer should be the goal. Just like at CarMax. Their goal is customer service, sales, financing, all the logistical support behind it. That's the strategy. And it's all worth the effort. So strategy experts, make sure you don't confuse your goals and your strategies. Make sure your goal is clear. And make sure the strategies are worth the effort behind it. Well, I gotta go now, see? I gotta find Jose before he does some real damage. You take care now.
Hey, strategy partners. My name is Tim, and I'm here to talk about the fourth hallmark of a bad strategy: fluff. Back in the wild, wild west, a bad strategy was something like coming to a showdown without a bullet in your gun, or cheating on a card game with the town gang. But in strategy formation, Richard Rumelt highlights one of the perils of bad strategy as fluff. What do you think of when you hear the word fluff? For me, the ice cream or sandwich topping comes to mind. If you've ever eaten fluff, you know there's not much to it. It's mostly air. Well, so is the strategy that contains fluff. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines fluff as something inconsequential. An Urban Dictionary describes the word as a story with no plot, one that makes no sense. For an organization or company, it may be an attempt to make a strategy sound intelligent or sophisticated. Rumelt uses the example of a bank, highlighting its desire to serve customers at a high level. Instead of stating that the strategy is simple, it decides to describe it in this way: our fundamental strategy is one of customer-centric intermediation. This was obviously fluff, as evidenced by the interpretation of that statement. The bank has a strategy of being a bank. Now, that bank is not alone in its attempt to make its strategy sound important, or at least to measure up to the time and effort that it took to create the strategy. However, here comes some tips for avoiding creating fluff. Number 1, embrace brevity. The more concise your statement is, the more powerful. Number 2, keep it simple and clear to understand. The statement should be understood by everyone. Number 3, limit what you try to achieve. Focus on the very important. And number 4, don't try to be too cute or catchy. There's a time for this, but strategy is not the time. These tips should help your strategy be effective and productive. Good day, partners.
Well, looks like we've heard some from real strategy experts today. I hope you've all learned something from my strategy gang and hope it helps you in your travels. And I'm sure it will. You know, strategy is all about the execution. No, not that type of execution. Well, strategy experts, good luck in your day-to-day business situations, and go ahead, make my day.